Greetings, humans. I'm Vulpz the Reviewer, the foxiest reviewer you ever met. Well, this is gonna be different from my previous reviews. Last time when I did a top 10, here's the top 10 things I will never review. But this time, it's a top 5. And I'm going to be listing the top 5 cartoons I hate that everyone else likes. Let's begin.
Number 5. MLP FIM.
It has a very wide fan base, but it's liked for... Where do I even begin with this? I understand that it was cancelled back in 2019, but I'm pretty sure it still has a big growing fan base. They even made a reboot out of it called Pony Life. But... The fan base is rather questionable, what with people making these fan arts out of the characters. And it's selling a lot of merchandise that's bought by grown men. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because there isn't. But what is there to like about it? I mean, there were some moments that had unlikable characters, like in that Canterlot wedding episode, which they never apologized for. The characters didn't, at least. But there's a character who is the dragon who is pretty much treated more like a slave than a friend. I mean, a lot of fans did point that out, but it was never pointed out in canon. I mean, and Hasbro has been doing a lot of copywriting stuff on Mr. Enter's review of the show. Even a clip that was 4 seconds long, mind you. I guess MLP is just something that should be just left in the dust, if you know what I'm saying.
Number 4. Animaniacs 2020.
Alright, pitchforks and torches down, hear me out on this one. If you're wondering why Animaniacs 2020 is on this list, if you didn't see my past few videos, it's because they cut out the characters apart from the Warner siblings and Pinky and the Brain. And for that reason, it just doesn't have the charm that the original Animaniacs have for that reason. I know the other characters included in that one episode, and there was even that appearance from Pepe Le Pew in another episode, but those were all just cameos rather than anything else. And besides, Chicken Boo was the only one who got the spotlight the longer more than any of the other characters. Why just include them in that cameo and not make more cartoons out of them? Heck, even Newt appeared as a cameo, and he only appeared in small doses. Yes, including the intro. And I'm not going to watch any of the episodes because I refuse to, for that reason. And they're also doing a reboot of Tiny Toons called Tiny Toons University. And imagine if it only included Buster and Babs. I guess we just gotta wait for the future to see.
Number 3. The South Park Pandemic Special.
Yes, I am aware that it's South Park and they're tackling this whole pandemic thing and whatever, but it just feels like the pandemic special could have been betterly handled. I know there were some notable clips, like Cartman singing about social distancing and the scene where they all go back to school, but there were some clips that I'm not 100% with. Like Randy making marijuana from his jizz, and the school students being locked in the school for quarantine or whatever, instead of being allowed to go home for some reason. And there was Cartman who was trying to prevent the cure for COVID coming, just because he enjoys social distancing. But overall, I just didn't really enjoy it as much, but then again, it is South Park.
Number 2. Baby Looney Tunes.
Back in my review of New Cat in Town, I said that this was the worst thing Warner Brothers has ever made. Well, I don't know if there's other things that are regarded as bad that WB did, but let's just call this the worst Looney Tunes show ever made. Yes, I even find it worse than Lunatics Unleashed. I only watched one episode of Lunatics Unleashed, and maybe I will watch more of it someday. And I stand by when I say that Baby Looney Tunes is the worst Looney Tunes show ever made. Why? Why would you make a baby spin-off of the greatest cartoon classic series ever made? It just spits in the face of everything the original Looney Tunes stood for and replaced it with this age-appropriate junk. I also plan to do the top 10 worst episodes of Baby Looney Tunes in the future, but for now, let's just move on from this monstrosity. And the reason this is at number 2 on the list is because you would expect it to be on this list after my new Cat in Town review. But there is this other Looney Tunes show that I hate, which I'm putting at number 1. I've watched episodes of it, and all I can say is, well, you'll just have to find out when I talk about it. And this time, I will be including part of the intro for this Looney Tunes show to make it more fitting for it to be at number 1.
And the number 1 cartoon I hate that everyone else likes is...
Whenever there's a crime or trouble that no one can solve, that all it seems.
Sylvester and Tweety Mysteries.
What do people like about this show? Just what? When I first watched it, I wasn't even close to anticipating the utter shit in this series. Like, Baby Looney Tunes fails in multiple ways. But Sylvester and Tweety Mysteries fails in one specific category mainly: turning the entire universe against Sylvester. My problems with this series as a whole is that it's completely mean-spirited. They send Sylvester to hell and back, even when he's not trying to be Tweety. And he's the character we're not supposed to be rooting for, and Tweety is supposed to be the character we're rooting for. But in this situation, it's the other way round. But apart from that, the show itself can't decide if it wants to be a series of Sylvester and Tweety cartoons or a parody of Scooby-Doo. Either way, it cannot pick a side. And believe it or not, in the next video, I'm going to be doing a top 10 based on this series, and it's going to be the top 10 worst Sylvester torture episodes, Sylvester and Tweety's Mysteries Edition. That way, I'll be able to go into more detail about why I hate Sylvester and Tweety Mysteries. This is Vulpz the Reviewer, the foxiest reviewer you ever met, signing off, and I will be seeing you guys in that next top 10. Man, I hate that show.